proud now to hear about autonomous vehicles a bit more. Before the lunch break, we already had a panel discussion where we already touched on the topic of autonomous vehicles and DRT. And now I'd like to welcome Okan Baş, CEO of Karsan Automotive, on the stage with me. He'll be talking about autonomous e-ATAK experience from the USA and the EU. Welcome, Okan. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to say hi to everybody. My name is Okan. I'm the CEO of Karsan. Karsan is a bus production company which used to be local, but having 16 years of experience in the automotive industry. And in the last 5 years, we have been in the transformation of the whole business to electric and then the autonomous side. And in this fact, we are a new player in the bus business, first in the USA, and then we will be concentrating also in North America, and we have good examples that I will share with you. But before I go on our experiences, I would like to share with you why we concentrate on autonomous vehicles. Why? I will follow a very simple approach, very simple logical approach to come to the solution, which is also our strategy as the company. Let us start with the global warming, because everything starts here. About 10 years ago, this 1.5 degrees warming was predicted as 4 degrees, which meant to be apocalypse by 1200s. Fortunately, in the last 10 years, a lot of progress has been done, and now we don't talk about 4 degrees, but we don't even talk about this 1.5 degrees target of Paris Agreement. We're talking about 2.5 degrees. If things go well, this might come down, but 1.5 degrees is still very far from achieving today. And in this respect, the most important area to focus is the carbon emission of the transportation, vehicle transportation. So we need to concentrate on vehicle transportation emission to reduce this threat. Second issue that I would like to focus is the urbanization. Urbanization is one of the main triggers of the global warming. Migration from rural areas is going speedy every day. In about 20, 30 years ago, the urbanization was only 30%. Today, it's more than half. The population of the world, more than half is in the cities. In 2050s, this will go up to 70% levels. To give you an example, in fact, 75% of the world's total carbon emissions are from the cities, main cities. And this is increasing day by day. And urbanization is hand in hand with population increase of the world. It's very clear. Today there are 7 billion people, more than 7 billion people living in the world. And more than half is in the cities. In 2050s, this is going to go up to 11 billion, with 70% in the cities. That means the effect of the cities will go even bigger on the global warming problem in the world. These problems, air pollution, noise pollution, small houses, security problems, and everything brought by urbanization with the increasing population are pushing people outside the cities, out to the outskirts of the cities. Most importantly, the lack of space in the cities where people cannot find or can find with very high costs. People are living outside the cities. The lack of open and green areas causes this suburbanization effect. With the population shifting from city centers to the outskirts of the cities, people's demand for mobility for both business and private purposes is increasing day by day. On one hand, the need for individual mobility increases. On the other hand, parking problems increase in residence areas as a result. Roads and open spaces are becoming more and more occupied by automobiles. And this situation is gradually narrowing down the living spaces in the cities, which is very obvious to us. So, as a summary, rapid urbanization, rising population, increasing mobility demands, and the growing number of vehicles in traffic will lead to more traffic congestion. This is very obvious. And today, every day, every year, the traffic problem increases in everywhere we live. By 2030, transportation demand is expected to increase minimum by 15% in the cities. Moreover, this will lead to an increase in the time that we spend in the traffic. Increased traffic will also lead to more accidents. That's obvious, because due to human errors. According to a WHO study, 90% of traffic accidents worldwide are caused by human error. We know this. And every year, more than 1 million people are dying due to human error in traffic accidents. So it becomes inevitable to use the developing technologies in this sense and not be a bystander to the situation. So, what is the solution? What is the solution to reduce the carbon footprint, solve the traffic problems, reduce accidents, and provide more livable spaces? The answer is mobility solutions where less space is needed to get from point A to point B. It's very obvious solution. Here, for example, you can see the different space needed for different modes of transportation. As we can clearly see from this, the solution is optimization of the public transportation with a good harmony which uses less space, I would say. Solving the traffic problem with public transportation reduces also carbon emissions at the same time. For example, a 4-seater car emits 42 grams of carbon, where 50-seater bus is only 1/4 of it. So this is also another issue. So, how do we substantially reduce carbon emissions and avoid traffic congestion with public transportation? The solution is zero emission, environmentally friendly public transportation with optimization of different transport modes in the city. The first stop of seamless public transportation is electric. The transformation from fossil fuel vehicles, one of the most important causes of environmental pollution, to 100% electric vehicles, which are environmentally friendly, quiet and technological, is of great importance. With the mandatory regulations and incentives implemented by governments, we predict that 1 out of 2 buses sold in 2030 will be zero emission in 2030. The second step of this transportation solution is autonomous, then becoming driverless. First autonomous, then driverless vehicles, which will significantly eliminate driver-related accidents. Here, I would like to talk more about seamless mobility. Today, urbanization and population increases the mobility need by 30% in 2030. So today, 100 kilometers are needed for in-city transportation. Tomorrow, it will be 130. Today, 35% is private, by private usage, private cars. 20% is bus, 40% is train, 5% is walk or bike. To solve all these problems, the two new modes of transportation is going to be the key players in the future, which will be robo-taxis and autonomous buses and shuttles. These two new modes are the new transportation modes which will come into the city life and will try to solve the problem. The prediction is private car usage will come down by 20% and will go down to 10% of total. The bus will be shifted to autonomous buses and shuttles, and train will stay as it is, as per 40%. Bike and walking will stay around 5 to 6%. So these two new modes, private robo-shuttles, robo-taxis and robo-shuttles and autonomous buses is going to be the game changers. When we look at these two modes, robo-shuttles are the solution which will be the more convenient one. Robo-shuttles and autonomous buses, I would say, together. Robo-taxis are not going to solve these problems totally, because in terms of traffic density, it's going to be the same as using a private car or a robo-taxi. This is what we believe. So, but these two new modes, robo-taxis and the autonomous shuttles and autonomous buses, has to be integrated in a very effective, seamless way into the city life. This is very critical. And in this respect, the role of the urban management leaders, cities and governments, management and leading the issue is the most critical one. So these public transport providers, the urban leaders should not be only public transport providers, which is the definition of today. They have to change. This needs to be a paradigm shift, and these leaders has to be enablers of optimization of different transport options. This is very critical, because the traffic will, the number of kilometers will increase. The roads will not increase, it will stay the same. The structure, it's not possible to change the structure. In fact, the structure needs to be reversed, and the roads needs to be less denser than today. To do this, with all these new transportation modes, especially robotaxis and autonomous buses and shuttles, these management has very good strength in their hand, and they can do it. Okay, so I have to speed up, I suppose. But there are a lot of concerns about autonomous issues, because it's a destructive paradigm shift. Because there is no driver, and people are scared when they see a car without a driver. So But I will come to this in the next slides. We have two great experiences, one in Europe and one in North America. This safety concern today is a concern, but we believe it will be resolved not in a very difficult way, because people, by the nature of human, will get used to this paradigm shifts after small usage of these issues with initial experiences. So there are also maintenances, precision mapping is very important, regulations are, these are all discussed so far. These are all problems, but the pressure of global warming is very high, and these problems will all be solved and are being solved. People are in this whole 2 days agenda. There are a lot of things that people discuss to solve. I think in the near future they will all be solved. As I said, with all these logical flow, we as Karsan concentrated on first electric, then autonomous products. And we have all our line of buses today from 6 meters up to 18 meters, all electric, and we are in the phase of making all our products to autonomous. And the first example is our 8-meter big bus, which is the first bus, autonomous bus, not driverless today, which has permission to go on public roads, both in North America and in Europe. The first example of 2 continents. There are a lot of autonomous examples in the North American example, but in Michigan State, we have our first autonomous bus, which we developed together with our partner ADASTEC, who are supplying us our artificial intelligence software of this bus. It's a very good collaboration. And we ended up with this first example, which is running in the public roads of Michigan State, carrying students publicly with defined scheduled hours in North America. Second example is our first self-driving bus with passengers, which has got the permission in Stavanger, Norway, which is in operation together. I have my friend here, which we did the project together. It would not have been possible with ADASTEC and the public authority and the transportation company Columbus, which is a very good example, and which is going to be the first, which is the first example in Europe having all the permissions to run in the streets of Stavanger publicly with scheduled hours, carrying passengers of the city. This is a very important achievement for us, which is giving us a very huge motivation. And these 2 examples are going to be the first examples which will also be following in the next examples and also next countries in the coming years. We are very honored to have these projects alive. By the way, in 2 weeks' time, more than 2,500 passengers were carried in Stavanger in the normal hours, which is something very good, because We know that driverless autonomous shuttles sometimes carry only 500, 600 people in 6 months' time because of the fear. But this is something done together with the authorities of the city, transportation companies of the city, artificial intelligence software providers of the bus, and the bus producer also. It's a big collaboration, and that's why we have come to this point in a short time and got this point very successful. And we hope to increase these numbers in the coming months and years.
Thank you very much, Okan.
Thank you.
Please, a round of applause. And to just summarize